Hello everyone. We will be starting with the computer system and organization. This is the first chapter of class 11th computer science, and in unit 1 it comes of 10 marks. So we will do the first chapter over here. So let's start. First, we will see the definition of a computer system. So basically, a computer system is an electronic device that takes input, processes it, and produces output. Since computer works on electricity, it is called an electronic device, and we give some input to it and it processes it to perform the desired result, and then we get the output. So that is the definition of a computer system. Now, a computer becomes a computer system if there are various components attached to it, right? So the basic components of a computer system are input unit, central processing unit, that is the CPU, output unit, and the memory unit. Together these four units make a smart computer system, and without it the modern computer does not work. Now next move, the working cycle of a computer. Any computer that we are using has to follow a certain pattern, right? So we have an input. A user needs to give an input to the computer system, and the computer system processes that input to give us the desired result, which comes under the output. Or in simple terms, we can say that any work that needs to be done by the computer, first we have to give the input to the computer, then it understands that input and does operations on that, and then we get the desired output for it. So this is called the working cycle of the computer, or we can say it as input output cycle. Next, we have parts of a computer. So a computer can be divided into two major categories. First, on the basis of structure, what material or what structure or what type of computer it is. And the next is on the basis of functions, what operations it is performing, the parts that are performing on operation on that. So under structure, we have hardware devices and software devices, and on the basis of function we have input devices and output devices. Now we will see each and every function, every device, or you can say parts of the computer. So first we will see hardware and software devices. So let's see. Now, hardware and software devices. As the name suggests, hardware, anything that we can touch. So basically, hardware refers to the physical parts of a computer that can be seen and touched. This is the most important definition for that. See, if a computer has any part that can be touched by the user or can be seen by the user, then it comes under hardware devices. For example, we have keyboard, mouse, monitor, printer, CPU, hard disk. These all are things or parts of the computer that are visible to us. So that's why it comes under hardware devices. And the opposite of that is software devices. See, software is anything that is not physically present over there. So a software is basically a set of programs or instructions that tells the computer what to do. See, if I take the example of this screen, this is a software. I made this presentation and it is present inside the computer. So this comes under a software. And the device that I'm using to record all this, for example, I'm using the laptop or I'm using a phone, anything like that comes under the hardware device. So these are hardware and software devices. Now to summarize this, we can say that hardware and software are both necessary to form a complete computer system. See, without the help of software, the computer will be just a machine. It cannot perform all the operations. And similarly, without the help of a hardware, the computer software alone cannot do all the functions. So both are necessary to form a complete computer system. That's why it is written over there, hardware plus software forms a complete computer system. Next we will see input and output devices. So input devices are used to enter data into the computer. A simple trick for this is in means anything inside the computer and out means anything that is being displayed from the computer. So input devices are used to enter data into the computer and output devices are used to display or produce results from the computer. Next, we will see each and every example of this for more clarity. First, we have input devices. So first is keyboard. See, keyboard is used to enter data into the computer. We type with the help of the keyboard. We can give any letter, number, instructions, type essays, do coding, do data entry, anything. So that's why keyboard comes under input devices. Next input device is mouse. See, with the help of mouse, the cursor, I am writing over here, I am underlining anything. So this also comes under an input device. So mouse is basically used to move the pointer on the screen or the cursor on the screen. It helps us to click, open and drag items. So mouse is also an input device. Next we have scanner. The most common example for this, you can see that in our phone when we scan any QR code or any scanner, we say scan this. So this comes under scanner. And as a computer device, we can say that this is what a scanner looks like. Basically, on the printer top also, the scanner is present. Any document that is being placed on this surface is being scanned into the computer and we get the soft copy for that. So the scanner is also an input device. Next, we have microphone, which is used to give input sound or voice to the computer. And next we have webcam, which is used to capture images or make videos, do video call or do recording. These all are the functions of webcam. Next we have joystick. The joystick is used to control games and simulations. See, joystick is basically used by gamers to play the game, to move left, right, or perform any other action in the game. So these are all input devices: keyboard, mouse, scanner, microphone, webcam, joystick. Next, we will see the output devices. So the output devices are the opposite of input devices. Here we get some sort of output, something that is visible from the computer system. The first is monitor, which is also called VDU, that is visual display unit. So anything that we are seeing on the screen, whether it be a PDF, video, movie, anything, that is an output from the computer. So this comes under output device. Next we have printer. As we know, the printer prints a page, so we get a hard copy for that. So the printer is an output device, and there are various types of inputs. We have given example over there, that is the inkjet printer. It is a very nice printer and gives very good quality colors. And next we have speakers. Speakers are used to display or produce output of sound. So used for music, videos, alerts and more. The output is basically in the form of audio. Next we have headphones. Here also we have the output in the form of audio, but if we are not ready to disturb our neighbors or anything like that, then we use headphones so that we can easily you can listen to the voice. Next we have projector. It is also used to display on a large screen. Basically it is used in classrooms, meetings, seminars and more. If we have any presentation and we need to show it to a large group of people, then we can use the projector. Same output that is being displayed by the monitor, when displayed on a larger scale, is done by the projector. So these are all output devices: monitor, printer, speaker, headphones and projectors. Moving on. Next we have CPU. So CPU full form is Central Processing Unit. This is also called the brain of the computer. And CPU consists of two major components. First is ALU and the second one is CU. So ALU stands for Arithmetic and Logical Unit and CU stands for Control Unit. Next we will see the function of both these units. See, ALU is used to perform calculations and logical operations. If I need to perform any mathematical operation of plus, minus, multiply, divide, or any logical operation greater than, equal to, less than equal to, then it is being sent to ALU unit of the CPU and we get the desired result. And if I don't need to perform any of these operations, then you will be wondering what operation would be performed. So if I am using a laptop and I need to display a PDF, and then I need to give a print to the printer, and I also need to send an email, and I also need to use caps lock button. All these operations where I need to control the hardware, give some instructions to the computer that first do this, then do this, how to do that, then that all comes under control unit. So the definition for that is also given. It controls all activities of the computer. That's why its name is also control unit, because it is performing anything other than arithmetic and logic operations. So these are the two units of the computer, ALU and CU. If we remember any one, the other one would be automatically remembered. Moreover, their name also suggests the same. Next, we have computer memory. As we have almiras in our houses to store things, similarly, computer has computer memory, which is used to store data and instructions. See, computer is an electronic device, so the structure for storing information is somewhat different from the regular storage that we see in our houses. Now in computer, we have two main types of memory. First is primary memory, and the second one is secondary memory. All the computer related information of data and instructions is being stored in these two major memories, primary memory and secondary memory. So let's see each memory. So primary memory is also called the main memory because it is as the name suggests, primary or the first or the main memory of the computer. And the secondary memory is also called the auxiliary memory because it is secondary, not always present in the computer. So primary memory is directly accessed by the CPU, and secondary memory has some other advantages to that. But first we will complete the primary memory. See, primary memory consists of two types. First is RAM and the second one is ROM. RAM stands for random access memory and ROM stands for read-only memory. These two are the main memory, or you can say primary memory of the computer system. Next, secondary memory. This is also called the permanent storage, and it has large capacity as compared to primary memory. Examples include hard disk, SSD, pen drive. See, if I am buying a phone, then the memory that comes with the phone is called the primary memory. If I am buying a phone with 16 GB storage or 24 GB storage, that storage that you are seeing on the advertisement is called the primary memory of the computer. Whereas if I am increasing the storage for that phone, I am buying a SSD card for that to increase the storage space, then that is called the secondary memory. And one more thing, as the storage increases, so does the cost for it increases. You must have seen the same model of a phone with lower storage is offered at a lower cost. But if the storage increases, then the cost for that phone also increases. So we can say that there is a direct connection between these two. As the storage increases, so does the price increases. Also, primary memory is fast compared to secondary memory. Also, primary memory is expensive compared to secondary memory. If primary memory is destroyed or is not working properly in a computer, then you need to pay a very good amount to get it corrected or to get it rectified. But in secondary memory, you can buy it at much cheaper price. You must have seen pen drives, DVDs, CDs. These all comes under secondary devices. So these are the two types of devices. And one more thing you can consider under this is cache memory, that is CACHE. This is also a type of primary memory. This is a very fast memory. You must have seen when you use our phone, the button which is present on the leftmost side, that is cache memory, where we see our frequently used apps or the apps that are open currently in the computer system. And it is a very fast memory. So the apps or programs or softwares that are most recently used or are frequently used by the computer are being stored in the cache, and it is also under the primary memory. So that is all under the memory of the computer. And if we talk about the units of the memory, as we know in maths, we have gram, kilogram, milligram, centigram, or in meters, kilometers. Similarly, in computer also, we need a system to define how the information is stored. So the basic is bit, that is 0 or 1, as any information in the computer system is stored in the form of 0 or 1. So bit is the smallest unit of a computer system. Next we have byte. A group of 8 bits form a byte. And before this we have another term, that is nibble, Nibble, which is a group of 4 bits. So 4 zeros or 4 ones or any combination of these makes a nibble, and the 8 of these combinations make a byte. Next we have KB, that is kilobyte, and 1024 bytes. That means 1024 of these make 1 kilobyte. Next we have megabyte, and this is formed by 1024 of KBs. So basically you can say that it is formed of 1024 KB and then multiply with 1024 bytes, and then you can come under bit. Then next we have GB, that is gigabyte, that is 1024 MB. TB stands for terabyte, that is 1024 GB, and PB stands for petabyte, 1024 PB. If you are still confused about these things, then I have uploaded one more video where the units of memory is being explained in a very simple manner, and that was also my very first video that was created with the help of AI. You can watch that for more easy understanding or visual understanding of this, and see that video. So next we have types of software. See, software is anything that is present in the computer. For our understanding, we have divided into 3 categories. First is system software, second is application software, and the third one is utility software. See, you are using the computer every day, but you need to know the terms about what these things you are using. Everything has certain terms to it. So let's start. So system software. System software is basically used to control and manage computer hardware. Uh, Examples include operating system like Windows and Linux, and system utilities like disk cleanup, antivirus, and device drivers. So basically system software are basically present in the computer system. If I'm buying a phone, you must have seen the contacts app is already present in the phone. So that comes under system software because it is already pre-installed in the system. Similarly, when you buy a computer or laptop, the apps or the softwares or any program that is already present in the computer comes under system software. Next, we have application software. These are the softwares that we install from the Play Store. For example, if I am installing Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, or any Microsoft application in the phone, then that comes under application software. So these are used by users to perform specific tasks, and examples include MS Word, Excel, and web browsers. You can use Yahoo, Google, or any other web browser that you like. So this is application software. They are basically created to help the user. Next, we have utility software. So these ensure smooth functioning of a computer system. You must have seen a device cleanup or antivirus tool that is present in the software. See, they are performing just to ensure the smooth functioning of a computer. So that comes under utility software. Now we have covered all the 3 types of software. Now we are going to study about operating system. This is a very important concept that is being asked in every competitive exams, you can say, or there is a separate subject for this in engineering courses, or you can say IT courses. So let's start. An operating system is a system that acts as a interface between user and hardware. See, how we are able to use the computer, that is the function of operating system. That's why we have written over there, it is an interface. It connects us to the computer, or it connects computer to us. And it is also a software. So a software is helping to interact with the computer. See, if I am pointing like this cursor on the screen, then how this cursor is being displayed on the screen and how my hand movements are being interpreted by the computer, that is the function of operating system. See, here it acts like as interface between user and the computer hardware. Now, before operating system, some more terms that I need to discuss with you is, first is compiler. So compiler is also a software which is used to convert the whole source program into object program at once. If you are familiar with programming language like C++, you must have seen when you write the entire code, it gets compiled and we get the desired output. So the high level language, that is the source code, is being understood by the compiler, and the compiler converts that into the object program, which is also called the machine language. So this is the function of compiler. Next we have interpreter. See, the same function is being done by the interpreter. It also converts the source program into object program. But here the major difference is that it converts one line at a time. See, you must have seen Python interactive phase, where you write one line and then get the output in the next line. So that is the function of interpreter. It converts high level language, that is the source program, into machine language, that is the object program. Next we have assembler. So this is different from the previous two that we have studied. It converts the program coded in the assembly language into machine language. If we are giving any program and it is written in assembly code, then assembler converts it into machine code, because machine code is being understood by the computer to perform the desired result. So these are the three: compiler, interpreter, and assembler. Now, operating system. Operating system has various functions. First is process management, handles running programs. See, how programs are being run in the computer system comes under process management. Next, we have memory management, allocates memory to program. How much storage space is being given to each computer. This assigning is done by operating system. Next, we have file management. Here, the files and folders of the system are being managed. Next, we have device management. Here, we control all the devices attached to the computer, basically input or output devices that we have. And last is security. It protects our computer system and data. So these are the functions of operating system, and you can summarize it through this. First is process management, second is memory management, third is file management, fourth is device management, and the last one is security. And these all are the functions of operating system, and it is very, very important. Moving on. Operating system interface. See, interface is anything through which we can access the information. Now, in the operating system, we have two types of interface. First is command line interface, that is CLI, and the another one is graphical user interface, that is GUI. In command line interface, we are basically using a keyboard to give commands to the computer. The example for this is command prompt. You must have seen a black window appear in your laptop or computer system where you can type and give commands to the computer. A very common example for this, I would say that if I need to create a folder in my computer system, I can simply right click, create new folder, or I can write the same command with the command language that I'm using and tell it to create a new folder with this name in my computer system. So if I talk about everyday use, we don't use command line interface, we use graphical user interface. We just click and drop using mouse, right? So the example for this is Windows operating system, and the graphical user interface is used by most users. The command line interface is used by programmers, developers, because it is generally faster and more freedom is given in this. But in graphical user, there is limited options as developed by the operating system. and also it is more easy and fun to use graphical user interface. So these are the two types of operating system user interface, and you can use anyone that you like. So to summarize the whole chapter in 2 lines, I can say that computer system consists of hardware and software working together. The CPU processes data, memory stores it, and the operating system manages all operations efficiently. So that was all that is being covered in this unit. I hope you all like it, and please do give review how you like this video, and if you want I can explain the same in Hindi also, any language that your people are comfortable in. Thank you.